Hello, thanks for joining. Hi. Hello, thanks for joining.
Hey,
Hel- How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Good, good, good. Oh,
Good.
thanks for joining.
Thanks
Right,
for
we can
having
just dive right in. Hey
me.
guys, thanks for tuning in to Fashion Bites Chat. I'm Hilary, the founder of the Fashion Bites platform. We're here to support and nurture creative entrepreneurs, filling in the gap between education and what happens in real life. This is our way of connecting, collaborating, and sharing. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to have Olivia with us here today. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to thank you so much for having me. I am Olivia Igwe. I help female-led business owners to elevate their brand by having a strong signature style. I believe that you should walk with ease, class, and excellence because you are the only one that can be the best version of yourself. And we do it in purpose and on purpose. But I started my fashion beginnings when I was living in Paris. Initially, I wanted to be an architect, and then I realized I'm not doing 7 years. So then I was like, okay, I need to find something that I love. So I decided styling. I did Institut de Marangoni back in Paris because they had just opened up, and then continued as a personal shopper because I wanted to understand more of the feelings of human beings. And because when you work on sets and editorials, you just have the model and she doesn't decide what she wants. Well, that was like 10 years ago now. But yeah, I wanted to understand more of what colors meant, understanding chakras, what colors, can change a whole mood. And then, yeah, ventured onto opening my company. This is my second company. So, yeah, I'm here in London.
Excellent. You just mentioned chakras. Can you explain that for us, please?
Yeah. So, chakra is a wheel of energy that you have that begins from the bottom of your spine all the way to the top. Now, we have 12 chakras, but we're only going to stick to the six, where every emotion that you have within you is has an impulse onto everything that you're doing. So when we talk about the root chakra, which is the beginning, that's where I can only speak from female-led business owner because that's only my target, my niche market, but we birth an idea, and red is like the excitement, the sexuality, and sensuality. And sometimes when we wear a little bit, look, you're wearing red, right? Honey,
Did
birthing
not,
an
did not
idea.
realize.
We're connected. And you see, for example, I'm wearing red lipstick, but what people need to understand is that colors is what, and Iris Apfel said, rises the dead. And I love that because if you want to protect your energy and be strong with who you are, if you wear colors, then automatically it changes the whole universe. And, when I say colors, it could be, maybe you're more of a warm red, maybe you're more of a cold red. It doesn't need to be just like one normal red. I mean, you have red Bordeaux, red Vermillon, red Love, red, so many different
Wow.
textures. So it's
Okay.
about just, understanding what suits you. Maybe for you, Hillary, you're more of a warm red. But I know some of my clients like the cold ones where when we look at it, we look white, we look pale, right? So yeah,
Okay.
that's what colors do.
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much. Now, I noticed that when you describe yourself, you say stylist and art director. How
Yes.
do you tie those in together? Do they fit together or are they separate?
They blend into one. A stylist initially is someone that will take the clothes of designers and put them in the magazine, so on an editorial. So, for example, if you've seen maybe Natalia Vodyanova on a cover magazine and she's got nice clothing that we did a cover the other day, a few years back with Karl Lagerfeld, I would put the clothes on that person. And an art director is really, you find the sets, you find the photographers, the makeup artists, you look at the whole story of the editorial. So I blended it into one because I believe that I'm not only just a stylist, I'm also an art director, because I believe it's two in one. I can play both hats.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I didn't think about it that way, but obviously that's why you're the expert here. Diving more into creating a signature style, how do you develop one? Why is it important? What are some kind of techniques you would use without giving out all your trade secrets? But what would you do for someone looking for a signature style?
So when we talk about signature style, I believe there's two different misconceptions one has on it, where you think that you have to wear something like Karl Lagerfeld with the sunglasses and the suit all the time, or maybe Anna Wintour with the glasses and the bob, right? Which is a misconception, because a signature style, what I really want people to understand, it has to be a flavor of who you are. And when I say flavor, that means that people instantly, when they hear you, so that you're going to use your five senses. So when they're going to hear you, when they're going to smell you, when they're going to touch you, hug you, whatever, they know who you are. And we can always alter, like maybe having a little bit of, more prints, more leathers, but it's something that when we see you, and this is a quote from Jeff Bezos, where he says, be a brand where even when you're not in the room, we know you are there. And that is what I really want people to understand, is that people will remember who you are. For example, if we've known each other for a while, but every time well, my impression, I can only speak for myself, but my goal is always to, like, when you see me, I'm in the fashion industry. You know that I always have my long nails. That is unique to me, and I always have maybe different socks or different earrings. So that is my own style. Now, I'm not saying to be that extreme, like you don't have to be just like me, but maybe having colors that work for you. So maybe reds, and you keep on playing with those tone of reds with a scarf, with a pair of earring, minimalistic. So having something that your style from far, we can remember you. That was the first of your questions. I think there was another one you asked.
Possibly, but I think that covers I think that covers it.
That covers it.
But that leads me into thinking about connecting personal style with brand, and how you use that to elevate your brand. If you could talk to us about that, that would be good.
I believe, I always tell my clients when we do the Legendary London experience, when I have them go through their signature style, I believe I'm not changing you into something that you're not. We're just going to elevate you the right way. When we go shopping, I'm not saying, okay, we're just going to shop to shop. No, we don't do that. We go to shop because there's something that you need that really will bring you confidence, because the whole key in styling is clothing is a second skin. So it's something that everybody needs. But when you know the right colors that suit you, then automatically you could walk naked with maybe just a scarf, but you could still own it because you know who you are, right? And so when I say, what does branding and the branding clothes that we wear, I always love going for independent brands. People, for example, this one is from ATM Collections, and there's just unique pieces that you can find. You don't always need to go for a brand like Nike, Adidas, even though they're great, don't get me wrong. But sometimes it's about balancing your style. You don't want to look like a total Chanel doll. You want to look like someone that has their own style. So maybe have the blazer of Chanel, or have this blazer and maybe have a simple top. So it's about balancing what you have and reusing. I believe that you don't need to go shopping to have a great style. You need to use wisely what you have in your wardrobe, because you have amazing pieces. It's just about how to style them. So yeah, that's how I share. And I think you said earlier on about tips on how to get that signature style, is to really go through your wardrobe. What is it that you're not keeping to start off, and what is it that you haven't worn? If you haven't worn it in a year, give it away. Throw it out. We don't need many clothes. You can't put all your t-shirts and your jumpers and your shirts and your socks on at the same time, right?
True. Very true. Very, very true. How would I use my personal style when I find one to elevate my particular brand? How would you help me do that?
So I would help to understand what are your strengths and what
Mhm.
are your I call them flawless little, because I don't like any negativity. So I'll just flawless little pieces that you have within you. And then once we've understand the pros and the cons, then the thing is then we'd understand the chakras. So which chakra is needing more energy? So maybe you're needing more red energy from the root chakra, or maybe from the heart, which is green. Maybe you need more color in your lifestyle. So
Right.
then we would analyze it through your style, and then we would go for simple pieces. So it could be maybe finding amazing necklaces or bracelets that would
Mhm.
elevate your style. You don't need to change your whole wardrobe. We just need to tweak it, like, that little watch that you have, the little side, just tweaking a little bit to understand, okay, not much, but just a little bit. So then when you wear, you're like, I feel good.
Okay. So please share with us, why are you a business's secret weapon?
Um, because there's no one like me.
That that is true.
um, because there's only one thing that I know of, and I live and I breathe it. As I said earlier on, I believe that style is a second skin, and you already have your skill. But in terms of having that second part where your clothes is so important, I'm your secret weapon, because I can turn something from nothing to being amazing. I will say this humbly, because I've traveled around the world and I've been able to understand different cultures. So that's why I say humbly that I'm your secret weapon, because I'm able to blend different worlds, because I've been through it. I've gone through the tough, people looking at you weirdly. So I am like your armor.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
So sometimes I think getting dressed can feel like a chore,
Yes.
and are there like everyday tips or simple things to make it easier and not feel so overwhelming to,
Yeah, I
yeah, on
mean,
a
there's
daily?
various different tips that I do say in terms of not getting overwhelmed. I know it's a little bit, okay, we've got to also plan the clothes before, but I always tell my clients, like, do it like the day before you go to bed. Have a piece of what you're wanting to wear. I always go with, what is your intention? How are you wanting to show up? Who are you wanting to be? And then from there, then you can address, okay, maybe I'm going for this meeting with a client that is not really, I don't really know it, so I don't want to be too standoffish. So I'm going to find something around that. But the first key thing is intention. What are you wanting to bring to the table? Because how your intention is going to show, automatically the clothes will only add a layer to that.
Okay. That's a new way of thinking of it. That's never even crossed
It's
my mind. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's a small thing, and then off, because once you've got your pieces, you could wear a white top and a jacket, and that could be in a pair of pants, whatever, trousers. That's absolutely fine. But if your mindset is right, which is also why I incorporate it, then the rest, it will go really, really well. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about your experience working within fashion. I understand you used to work with magazines and brands. How was that experience, and what did you do?
Mainly I was working in the fashion, so in editorials, magazines. I was working with designers, so I work with Karl Lagerfeld, Rick Owens, Givenchy, Riccardo Tisci. Amazing opportunities. I won't lie. It was 10 years ago. I will say that, I was very different from anybody else. People that were from different heritages weren't really seen as being in that space, but I've always I've always told myself, and I've been brought up with amazing parents that told me, look, the only version that you can be is you. So you're going to have to go through those hurdles. You're going to have to go through, some brands said no to working with me, but then 2 weeks later, they called me up and said, we actually like you. We really want you in the team. So, it goes to saying that if you are authentic and you keep on doing your hard work, then automatically, you're going to get what you want at the end. But yeah, styling has always been something, working with magazines, with photographers, the diversity of working with, it's just been an absolutely, I love styling. Like if I could do it again and again, I would. But styling, when you go for fashion, and back in those 10 years ago, it was you have to have a great editorial, but you've got to sell. You don't
Right.
sell, you don't get. There's nothing, right? So that's why I had to retire a little bit from the styling industry, because I'm just unique. I don't fit in. You know, so many times they've told me, look, can you just be quiet? You're too loud. You know, this
Oh,
outfit
no.
is way too much. Hey, Miss Smith, thank you. Your outfit is like way too much. You just, yeah, you laugh. Can you tone it down, please? And I'm like, no. But you know, I remember this amazing experience. I still had, and I keep on saying Karl Lagerfeld, but you know, Karl Lagerfeld coming up to me and saying, oh my goodness, like it's so nice to have you on the shoot. And, you know, asking questions like, who are you? I mean, his studio was absolutely stunning. And I still remember the candle that he had, the diptych candle number 34 from Boulevard Saint-Germain-en-Laye. Lord, I remember that. This is yesterday. The food, I'll tell you, on that editorial shoot, we had anything we wanted, but that's like the party.
Amazing, amazing. So what were the experiences that led you into being an entrepreneur? What was your journey into working for yourself and creating your own business?
I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. I think I grew up with Tony Robbins and Bob Proctor. Met Bob Proctor 3 years ago. Tony Robbins, I haven't met him, but if you're hearing me, Tony Robbins, I'm meeting you very soon. But yeah, I always knew in my soul that I wanted to do something unique. I just didn't know how. And I'm still on this journey of figuring out what works, what doesn't. But on the path of figuring out, you know, what works, what doesn't, I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It brings you so much. School doesn't teach you how to be an entrepreneur. School doesn't teach you all of that. And I've had to learn it the hard way. I set up my first company. I had to shut it down. I opened it for a couple of euros. I had to close it for a few grand. I mean, those are small things, and how to target your market, how to speak to people. I mean, if you see me now, but you know, a few years ago, I was just like a church mouse. I wouldn't talk.
I have a hard time believing that, but okay. All right.
Believe me.
Oh, great. So as an entrepreneur, you have to wear many hats. How are you balancing? Do you have a mentor, or how do you focus and discipline yourself? What is that like for you?
Amazing question. Discipline is the key to success. I've installed for the last 3 months, and I've figured that's how my business has shifted. I wake up at 5 in the morning, and then I give myself a whole hour to be able to give myself some prayer, meditation, whatever that is, work on my attentions, and do some breathing exercises. That has me focused, and then I write down, I keep tabs on everything that I'm doing. Morning, I'm grateful. In the evening, I'm grateful. It's not perfect, you know, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, you know, waking up at 5 in the morning is like, but I have accountability. I found a few girlfriends that hold me accountable on that. But having a mentor, same thing. I believe every year one should have a mentor. Yes, it is an investment, but yes, it's an investment in you on being a better self. I mean, even Tony Robbins has mentors, to, you know, Bob Proctor, to any Grant Cardone. You know, everybody has a mentor and needs it, because when you're so focused on what you're doing, sometimes you don't see the opportunity. And sometimes people need to remind you and say, hey, you're doing an awesome job. Like, look what you've done. Or we need a bit of tweaking because that's not right. But yeah, who I am today is thanks to so many mentors that have, you know, shifted and blended me. But I must say, two of my biggest mentors are my parents too. They've taught me so much, to a point where right now I'm just like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing, amazing. We've had a question
Yes.
submitted by David.
Yes.
And let me read through it. With the whole reset due to COVID-19 and our priorities changing,
Yes.
Have we seen a peak of influencers? That's the first part. Let's tackle that part, and then we can do the second part.
Yeah. I felt that there is a shift of influencers that has come up. to a point where sometimes I'm like, this is way too much. Like, you know, pictures of being at the beach or pictures of, you know, things that are not realistic. And I've realized that today, and from what I'm being seeing in my industry, we're craving for authentic things. We're craving for things that everybody goes for. We're craving for things that, you know, we don't want the perfect picture, because nobody's perfect. Or, you know, going through relationships, even with the whole pandemic, you know, if you had somebody that you were living with, it's either it's going to work, it's going to break, or you're going to have a baby in the next 5 months. But, you know, those are small things that, you know, it comes back to reality, because I think we need more time for us and figure out, okay, we're not like everybody else. And does everybody want to be like everybody else? You can still shine and still be authentic. And I think everybody's getting to that place where, you know, you want raw things, like shots that are natural, or walking. I felt, yeah, that answered the question.
Yes, yes, yes. He goes on to say, as you were alluding to, it all seems very bland, with endless bikini shots on beaches, airbrush lifestyles that seem shallow, and jumping on the bandwagon that comes along. Do you think we'll see a reset where we celebrate empowered people and a more genuine sentiment celebrating living a balanced life?
I mean, I believe we will at some point. I think it takes a village to change, for it to alter. I hope we're getting closer into becoming more of us and showing more of authentic shots. But I mean, I can't call myself an influencer, because I don't believe I don't like that word. It's just such a hard word. I'm like, influence what? But I think we can all be authentic in our own purpose and shout loud. I mean, I have a friend, well, a friend of a friend, well, no, a friend actually, and she's been doing her thing for so long, and she works at Nike. And I think when you're being consistent in what you do, and she doesn't have that many followings, but Nike reached out to her after 5 years, and we had talked about her wanting to get a deal with Nike, but it took her 5 years. And I think, you know, as Nada says, it's owning it. It's owning it at 100%. And, you know, you don't need many views or followers, but what you do need is a strong purpose that drives you and that makes you unique to anybody else. And that's, I think, the authentic thing that I'm seeing in other influencers that I'm also following. They're owning their own craft. And I think this whole movement has made us, you know, really empower each other and still share at the same time, because we're pouring value, we're giving back somehow. But yeah, everybody that I seem to follow is in that sphere.
Okay. Any encouraging words that you may have for future hopeful stylists out there, and people wanting to, you know, dive into this wonderful world that we're in?
Yeah, I mean, we're in beautiful times right now, because 10 years ago, we were supposed to have like extra small, extra skinny, you know, models, whereas today everybody's embracing their own love, their own body shape. And I think one advice that I could give, and it would be like, be you, do you. And just owning it. Keep on breaking those doors that make sense to you and that resonate within your soul, because nobody can tell you what's wrong or what's right. But if you keep on doing it, like what I did, you know, working with brands that didn't want to work with me, but then after they said yes, and these are prestigious brands that didn't want to, but after they said, look, you know, we really want you, we really like you, and being true to yourself, but being humble and authentic. I think, you know, a lot of us seem to be like, oh, I don't want to, like, I'm not being humble. I think humble is the most important thing, and being aligned definitely with who you are. If it doesn't speak to you, don't do it because somebody else said it. Do it because your heart, it was like giving you butterflies.
Excellent. Thank you. So what is next for you?
What is next for me? Well, we are super excited. We're going international. Not that I wasn't, but I think it's just like, let's do it, right? um, yeah, growing more of the space. I keep on saying, I am, I'm I'm anchored in fashion, I'm rooted in wellness, and I'm sprinkled in travel. So I'm going
Mhm.
to be blending more of wellness because I think clothes is still amazing. But
Mhm.
if you don't feel good from the inside to the outside, then honey, you can't function because your confidence is shattered, you don't feel loved. And so we need to work on, who is you, working on not having hateful words. There was a study done by Glamour that said more than on a study of 15,000 women, 50% of them were saying hateful words up to 100 times every day, like I dislike you, I don't you look disgusting, etc. So we need to take a
Mhm.
position for women to look and feel empowered, and I think that's going to happen if we work on ourselves. So blending the both together, that's where.
I think we've lost her a little. She's gonna coming back in. Right. I think we need to get Olivia back in, but thank you so much for joining. I think there was a little bit of an IT hiccup, which is all right. That was a wonderful interview or chat with Olivia. Join us again next week. This is a weekly chat. Join us again. We will have as our guest next week Chris Spera. He's a business strategist within the premium and luxury consumer goods space, which there'll be a lot of great information there. Until next time, thank you very, very much for tuning in. Bye-bye.